Lovely to see so many of you joining us from all around the world for another Action for Happiness event. Welcome. My name's Mark Williamson, and I'm absolutely delighted to welcome you all this evening to this very special event with Satish Kumar. And Satish, it's absolutely lovely to have you with us. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
I'm really excited about our conversation. It's been a few years now since we were last together at an Action for Happiness event in London, and I always find your insights so wise and compassionate and helpful. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with the community this evening. To all of you who are joining, thank you as always for greeting each other on the chat and for being here. It's always a joy to have such an active community for these events. Satish and I will have a conversation on this evening's theme about natural well-being and what that means for our world and also for us individually. And we're also going to have time for you to ask Satish some questions as well. So please do use the Q&A function. And although we won't have time for all the questions, we'll certainly make sure we get to some of them. And you can also vote on other people's questions and upvote them. So if you see something you'd like to have an answer to, then please do add your thumbs up to somebody else's question if you would like. As always, let's keep the chat as friendly, kind and supportive as we can, and looking forward to seeing your reflections and reactions. And we're also going to ask you to sort of respond to a couple of points as the audience, as this community along the way. But Satish, thank you for being here. Really, you need very little introduction to anyone who's been following the world of well-being and social activism for any time in recent decades. You've been such a sort of renowned campaigner for social justice, for the environment, for well-being, and a great inspiration to so many with the organizations you've helped to set up, at least some of which I'm hoping we'll speak about this evening. But I wanted to start, as well as saying thank you for being here, by asking you maybe to reflect on where we are right now on our planet in this crazy time when we've had this sort of global catastrophe, and yet somehow it feels like a welcome wake-up call in some ways. How are you feeling about how the world is right now, Satish?
Okay. Thank you, Mark, for this great opportunity to be in conversation with you. And I'm a great admirer and supporter of Action for Happiness initiatives. We are in a very critical situation because of this pandemic. In my lifetime, I have not experienced anything so global that all countries are facing one problem. And this, I think this has been caused because of our unhealthy and broken relationship with nature. And so this crisis is also an opportunity. An opportunity is that Earth is calling us to wake up. And it's a wake-up call. And so we should use this opportunity not to go back to business as usual, and economic growth and more impingement on nature and more encroaching nature and destroying the biodiversity and destroying the wild habitat, all that. But we create a new relationship in natural world. So we are facing a crisis, but also an opportunity. And I hope that humanity altogether as one humanity, one planet home, which is our common home, we can live on this planet Earth well and happily, because nature is abundant. Nature has no meanness. Nature is very generous and very kind, but we have to be reciprocal, and we have to have reciprocity of our kindness to nature. And that is the situation we are in today.
Well said. And I think one of the refreshing things about the terrible lockdown situation many people have been in has been that in some cases we've been reminded of how much we depend on nature and how much we love the time in the natural world. I know many people I've met with have talked about that being one of the sort of blessings of a slightly simplified life with less commuting and so on. But why do you feel, Satish, that we have lost our connection? How has this come about? How have we got in this situation?
Yes, in last 100 or so years, humanity has seen nature as a resource for the economy. And human beings are somehow superior species, and all the natural world there is for us. And we can do to nature what we like. So we have been educated and we have been conditioned to think that we are somehow special and we are separate from nature. And that has led us also to believe that humans are also a resource for the economy. So nature is a resource for the economy and profit and money, making money, and humans are also human resources. And so they are also for making money and profit, economic growth. This has been the kind of paradigm of the last 200 years, particularly last 100 years. And so that has caused that we can go out and conquer nature. Now nature is saying that don't be so arrogant. You cannot conquer nature. If you fight against nature, you will be the loser. And so that is the sign of this pandemic. We are being the losers because we have been abusing the natural world. And so we have to wake up and do something different.
And one of the things that both you and I think have been trying to say, you for much longer than me, Satish, but this idea that we need to move beyond thinking about growth and economic terms as the major success metric and think about it more in terms of our overall well-being. Do you want to say a bit more about that sort of shift in priorities? Because
yes,
it's not as if
what I was saying is that nature as a resource for the economy and humans as a resource for the economy, that mindset, that thinking has led us to this situation. And so what we need to do now is to change that and say that nature, well-being of nature and well-being of humanity is the ultimate aim. And profit, economic growth, money, business, all these things are means to an end. That is the confusion of means and end has to change. The moment we say that money and profit and economic growth are for the well-being of humanity and the well-being of the planet Earth, then we can reset our relationship with the natural world and we can say we are nature. Nature and humans are not separate. Humans are as much nature as mountains, forests, rivers, animals, birds. Humans are as much nature. So we should forget this idea of separation and dominion over nature and conquering nature and not see nature as a resource for the economy, but say the nature, well-being of nature and well-being of humanity is the end goal and money and profit is the means to that end.
And I think that on top of that, not only is the current goal, if you like, wrong, and we should, as you say, make it more about overall well-being. Actually, somehow this materialism that we've created together, this sort of sense of putting yourself before others and chasing more and more stuff, is also actually making us quite unhappy. What are your thoughts on, because it feels to me that there's also an extra downside of materialism. It doesn't just destroy the planet, somehow it makes our lives less empty too. Do you feel that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. In spite of all the economic growth, particularly in the United States of America, which is the #1 economy in the world, then Europe, also #2, #3, #4 economies are in Europe, Japan. All these countries have so much money, and yet people are not happy, people are not healthy. There is a kind of anxiety, there's a fear, there is a kind of selfishness, and even in practical terms, we have homelessness, we have poverty, we have so many problems. So it shows that economic growth cannot solve all our human problems. We need families, strong families, we need friendship, we need creativity, we need arts, crafts, culture, music, poetry, dance, walking in nature, gardening, living a whole good life should be the aim. And money and profit should be part of it. Then I think we can live a good life. But at the moment, you can see that in spite of all the wealth, all the economic growth, all the development, all the infrastructure, airports, seaports, motorways, railways, cars, computers, we have everything. And yet people are anxious, people are fearful, people are unhappy, families are breaking down, there's a lack of friendship, lack of creativity. We have become just mere consumers. And so this thing shows that we are not happy. And so if we want to be happy, we have to have more than just money, 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 job, job, job. We have to have families, friends, creativity, imagination, poetry, dance, music, all those things.
And Satish, you reminded me of a quote which is very well known and one that I have found inspiring. But Robert Kennedy said many decades ago now that the GDP, the gross domestic product, measures everything except that which makes life worthwhile. And all those things you've listed so beautifully there about culture and arts and music and family, these are the things that really make life worthwhile. And it strikes me that you're asking a question here about what does really matter. If it's not stuff and possessions and money, what is it? And I wonder if we might ask the audience for their thoughts on this. So why don't we do a quick pause to listen to the community for a second. So all of you listening, I'd just like you to think about what do you feel really matters in life and in society and indeed in your own personal lives. Maybe it's some of the things that Satish has mentioned already, maybe it's your own perspective, but let's see what you come up with. So we've got kindness, connection, balance, love, faith, relationships, having a purpose, nature, God, health, peace, nature, family, compassion, values, children, dogs, peace, security, healthy food, poetry, trees, bees, universe, inner peace, living a simple life, my brother, gratitude, butterflies. Wow, what a list. How are you feeling as you see these fly by, Satish?
Amazing, amazing, amazing. I am absolutely amazed. What a good response. And that shows that people have their wisdom. And when you ask people, they don't say money makes me happy. They say kindness, compassion, generosity, community. And community is, to me, a key. At the moment, we have a loss of community, a sense of community. I know we are suffering from a kind of education which trains young people to go out in the world for personal success. My job, my success, my name, my fame. I want to be prime minister. I want to be CEO. I want to be famous. So all this ego, too much ego, and our education promotes that. So I think community, where we say mutuality, reciprocity, working together, working for each other, if that community can be center, then everything else, all the list which people have made wonderful list, all that can come together. So for me, community, out of all the lists that the people have made, is one of the central and one of the key point. At the moment, we have a loss of community among humans, and we have also loss of community with the planet Earth, because it's an Earth community. We have to also think of Earth community, and nature is our family. The birds in the sky are our family members. Animals in the forest are also our family members. So if we can expand that idea of community, the biotic community, the earth community, the human community, and then entire planet as our common home, and the nature of our family, if we can expand that idea in our consciousness, then I think we can create a new paradigm. And we have learned something from this pandemic. And after this pandemic is gone, there's no vaccination for climate change. There's no other solution. We have to find a new way of living. And so let's use this opportunity to create a new world.
Well said. Thank you. And well, first of all, I wanted to acknowledge all the people who've taken time to share something there in the community chat. It was really lovely. And Satish, I'm reminded by what you've just said and also some of their responses. I know one of your books is called, I think, Elegant Simplicity. And I think some of what you're talking about here is a simpler and more elegant way of thinking about what matters in life. Do you want to say a bit more about that phrase? Because I think it's really
Absolutely.
charming.
Elegant simplicity is, in a way, kind of answer to our many problems. Whatever we make in our products, industrial products or hand products, we should have three principles. I'm writing about three principles in my book. One, whatever we make, whatever we have should be beautiful. At the moment in our culture, in our civilization, we are lacking a sense of beauty. And beauty is a source of happiness. Beauty is the food for the soul and for heart and for spirit. And therefore, everything, whether it's furniture, home, clothes, anything we have should be beautiful. Second, should be useful at the same time. At the moment, we are making so many things are useless things just to sell and buy and sell commodities. everything should be useful and not just put in the attic, not just waiting there for in the workshop. Should be useful. And then third principle is, in my elegant simplicity, this should be durable. At the moment, we have single-use plastic. Our fashion clothes last for one season, and then next year we want new clothes or new shoes or new car or new computer or new iPhone. Everything, every year, every 2 years we change. So it should be durable. So beautiful, useful, durable. These are the three principles I am talking about in elegant simplicity. And I call it the BUD principle, B-U-D, the BUD principle. If we can bring that beauty, utility, and durability in our products and our goods and services, then I think we can create a more natural well-being and human well-being.
Thank you. And I can see people responding very positively to the BUD idea. That's lovely. Thanks, Satish. I wanted to move on to something which I feel is very related, but it's something that's really stayed with me ever since we last spoke. And it was, you were talking on stage about trust, and you said something which always stayed with me, and it was I'm going to get this wrong in how I retell it, but you said something like, I could spend I'm a trusting person, and people say to me, what happens if one day you get let down and somebody steals your wallet or lets you down? And you said, I would rather spend my whole life living with a sense of trust, and then very occasionally something goes wrong, than to spend my whole life assuming the worst in people and living in a state of fear. And I found that so powerful to hear, because I think so many of us do spend our whole lives living with a sense of fear and distrust. And I think that has, not only for ourselves, but for our sense of community, that's really difficult. So tell us a bit about trust and why that matters.
I think trust is a kind of fundamental to our well-being. At the moment, people live in anxiety and fear and a sense of insecurity. But I was born without a PhD after my name, without any skills, but universe put milk in the breast of my mother. Where did it come from? I did not make anything. So we came here with trust in our heart. And I went around the world. I walked 8,000 miles through 15 countries over 2.5 years, completely depending on the generosity of the strangers. That trust is not just I'm talking about as a theory. Trust is coming from my deep experience of life. And so if we live our life fearing and mistrusting and thinking that something might go wrong, that worry and that fear causes unhappiness. So trust anybody, trust everybody, even if you are, as I said to you, even if you are cheated once or twice in a life or in a year, doesn't matter. Better to get cheated and better to get let down once or twice in a kind of blue moon than all the time living in fear and mistrust. So trust, and I have written a book about my whole journey called Pilgrimage for Peace. And that is my long walk from India to Washington, 8,000 miles through 15 countries. And I went through Muslim countries, Christian countries, communist countries, capitalist countries, rich countries, poor countries, deserts, mountains, snow. Sometimes I was hungry, sometimes I had blisters, everything. I suffered everything. And yet I trusted every time. And that trust led me through all these countries. And 2.5 years later, I was back in India. I can remember every day, trust, trust, trust. That was my wealth. That was my money. That was my possession. I trusted everybody, whether you are Muslim or Christian or Russian or American or whoever you are, rich or poor, whoever you are. I don't know. I know that you are a human being and I trust you.
Satish, you're such an inspiration, and that book you mentioned, we'll make sure we include a link to that and your other great books in the follow-up email to all participants tomorrow, so people can find out more. And you're reminding us, I think, of this fundamental goodness of human nature. We see in the media so many of the quite rare but very highly focused on stories of difficulty, and yet we overlook the amazing kindness and compassion that is all around us all the time. And so it's lovely to hear that you discovered that on your walk. But what would you say to somebody who is feeling let down or fearful at the moment, who doesn't find trust very easy? Maybe they've had a very difficult situation. How can we build a bit more of that sense of trust?
I mean, we have to look at our lives. Even in this pandemic, hundreds of thousands of people have offered their voluntary services to look after the old. I mean, in my home, I was getting notes dropped by young people, young neighbors, saying, if you need any help, you need some shopping, you need somewhere to do something, we are here, please call me, this is my number, I'm here to help you. So people are good. We have to start with that position. People are good. And the circumstances, lack of love, lack of compassion, lack of mutuality, lack of support has made them whatever negative qualities that they may have. So fundamentally, we have to believe, I believe totally, that fundamentally every human being is good, basically good. And it's our social conditioning, and our fear is generated by our social conditioning. So if we can be courageous, and trusting needs courage. And you don't have to go to buy in a shopping mall to buy courage. Courage is given to you. Courage comes from the heart. Courage is heart. And everybody has a heart. And wherever there's a heart, there's a courage. So use your courage, and do not allow yourself to be in fear. Living in fear is not healthy, not personal health or social health or natural health. So for well-being, trusting yourself, trusting the universe, trusting other people, that is the key to happiness and well-being. Trust the process of the universe. The sun will come, the rain will come, the autumn will come and bring fruit. The spring will come and bring leaves and blossom. Universe is made with trust. And so if you plant one seed in the ground, it will become a tree. Trust the seed. So trust is everywhere. Trust is the fundamental. But we in society had inculcated this fear that no, world is not good. People are not good. They are going to hurt you. So this is not true. The truth is the people are good. The world is good. The nature is good. The environment is good. And we are good. We have to live in harmony with everything else. If sometimes something goes wrong, it doesn't matter. We can solve the problem when it comes, but don't be afraid.
So I very much agree with that, and I find it really inspiring. And I feel that I'm someone who is quite trusting, and I've benefited from feeling that trust come back to me, and also, recognizing that I have had a relatively safe and secure, life journey so far, which I'm very grateful for. But I also sometimes feel really angry, Satish, about what's going on in our world, and I know many of us who care about, the well-being of the whole human family get angry and frustrated about climate change, about racial injustice, about any kind of sort of unfairness and abuse that happens in our world. So although it is rare, perhaps in the spirit of all the good in the world, these are still real issues. So how can we, I know you're a real social activist, how can we stand up for the things that we believe in whilst keeping that idea of love in our hearts?
Yes, I became an activist at the age of 18. I was inspired by Mahatma Gandhi. And then when I walked around the world, when I arrived in the United States of America, I met Martin Luther King. And in England, I met Bertrand Russell. And I met John Byers. And I met Bangari Maathai. And I am friend of Vandana Shiva. All these examples show me that you can act either out of anger and a fear, or you can act out of compassion. So Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Bertrand Russell, John Byers, the Beatles, Picasso, painting Guernica, all the people who have made a big impact, Václav Havel in Czechoslovakia, I can list many, many names. All these people have acted out of compassion. Colonialism is bad, yes, but out of compassion for those who are victims of colonialism, either a colonialist or colonized or colonizers, or victims of racism, or the perpetuators of racism. They are both victims. And so out of compassion, out of love, out of kindness, we stand up. And I always say we do three things at the same time. We protest. We protest out of compassion. We protest with love, but we protest what is wrong. Colonialism, imperialism, sexism, racism, climate change, destruction of biodiversity. We protest against Extinction Rebellion, very good organization. Greta Thunberg, very good young woman protesting. So many good examples of protest out of compassion and love. Second, we have to protect what is good in our world today. There's a biodiversity we have to protect, beauty we have to protect, small farms, small business, arts, crafts, music, culture, communities. We have to protect them. And the third thing we have to do is to build new ideas. So I have been busy in my life building Schumacher College, the small school, Festival of Wellbeing, and you are engaged in Action for Happiness. All these actions are positive action, so that we create something, we build something new for future generations. Our past generations made many beautiful things for us. We have inherited culture, poetry, music, architecture, good agriculture, good skills. We have inherited that. So we have to give something to future generations. So we build something, and we do it all with love and compassion, not anger. Mahatma Gandhi was not angry with the British. Martin Luther King, I met him, and he said he was the embodiment of love. Meeting Martin Luther King was perhaps the highlight of my 8,000-mile journey. All that walking was worth just meeting Martin Luther King. And he said, love and non-violence is not only a way of protesting, non-violence is a way of life. Love is a way of life. So he said that every action we do, every word we speak, every thought we have, they all should be threaded with love. The thread of love goes through every action, every word. Those are my heroes, and those are the examples we have to follow. So no anger, no fear. We don't act out of anger because there's a climate change or social injustice. We act out of love and compassion. And that is the greater power. Power of love is greater than power of nuclear weapons.
It's amazing. And I just love the vision of you arriving after this long walk and meeting Martin Luther King. What a joy that must have been. It strikes me that another thing you're mentioning or sort of bringing into this is a sense of humility in the way that people might protest. That's important.
Absolutely. You know, the word human comes from humus. Humus means soil in Latin. So soil is humble. It's always under your feet. Whatever you do to soil, you dig it, you plow it, you build on it, you tread on it, and yet soil gives you food. Soil gives you flowers. Soil gives you fruit. Soil gives you everything. It's always giving and always humble. So the humus comes to human, and humility comes from the same root, because the soil is humble. So we have to learn from nature. Nature is our true teacher. Nature is our mentor. Soil is our mentor. So I learned humility from the soil, because my word, human and humus and humility, comes from the same etymological root. And so if we are humble and we are compassionate, then we can be very forceful and powerful and compassionate to act. I'm 84 years old, but I have no lack of passion. I have no lack of energy. I act every day for climate change, for social justice, for biodiversity protection, for education, for well-being. I act out of love and compassion, but humility. I don't say that my idea is the right idea. Everybody must follow me. I have the truth. Everybody must follow my truth. No, I have one point of view. Humbly, I express my views. If you like it, please consider them. If you don't like them, please have your own views. So I respect biodiversity, but I also respect cultural diversity and truth diversity and opinion diversity. Like we have religious diversity, we have racial diversity, We have a cultural diversity. We also have a truth diversity. So I celebrate diversity, and therefore humility goes with accepting the diversity of views and opinions and ideas and truths and so on. So without humility, if we act, then we'll be disappointed, because we don't know what our actions will result into, whether we'll be successful in stemming the climate change, whether we'll be successful in bringing social justice, whether we'll be successful in protecting biodiversity. We don't know. We act out of humility and leave the results and the outcome in the hands of the universe. We cannot control things. We are not in charge of the universe. Our responsibility is to act and do our best in the service of humanity, in the service of planet Earth, and not think that I have got the truth and everybody must follow me. And that arrogance I have to drop. They have to drop the arrogance, have humility, but with humility and compassion, we act and do our best in the service and for the well-being of planet and for the well-being of humanity.
Well, again, very well said, Satish. It sounds like action for happiness in action there. And I love what you said there, because it makes me realize that a lot of what's going on in our world at the moment, the polarization we see, is because we've lost that ability to hear each other, to listen to the other perspectives, to see that diversity. And I think your approach of bringing compassion, but also bringing a sort of humility to listen and to see different perspectives is something we really need right now. But before we come on to questions, we've already got some great questions from the audience coming up. Before I come to those, I just wanted to come back to the overall theme of natural well-being and maybe make this a bit more personal, which is, you know, we've talked about lots of these big social issues. That's fantastically important. But each of us is living our own lives. We're dealing with our own issues. We're in our own relationship situations. What would be your day-to-day advice on how we can each connect a bit more with nature and get a bit more into that natural environment?
Yes. We have to act on multiple platforms. First of all, in order to help the planet well-being or natural well-being or human well-being, we have to have personal well-being as well. If I'm not well, if I don't love myself, if I don't take care of myself, then I'm not going to be able to take care of the planet or the people. So taking care of yourself. And so what I do in my personal life, every day I start the day with meditation, so that I'm calm, I'm compassionate, I am steady, I'm with myself, and I love myself. And loving yourself is not selfish. Loving yourself is not egotistical. I'm not saying that I love myself more than I love anybody else. I love so that I can love others. I can love humanity. I can love planet. So love starts with myself. So I meditate every morning, and that's my beginning of the day. And I read some spiritual books, Thich Nhat Hanh, Dalai Lama, St. Francis, or any poetry, William Blake, anything good, Rumi, Hafiz, I read every morning to prepare myself for my action, for my day. Also, I'm very blessed to have 2 acres of garden, and I love gardening. When you touch the soil, when you plant the seed, when you water the plant, when you see the flowers blooming, when you see the seeds growing, that gives you faith in nature. That gives you confidence that nature is benign, and nature is abundant, and nature is generous, and nature is kind. And so if nature is so good, why can't I be good like nature? Why can't I grow like a seed? Why can't I be blossoming like the flowers blossoming? Why can't I give fruit like the trees are giving apples and oranges and bananas and mangoes? So I learn from nature. And then also I go for walking. Every day walking makes me healthy, and it connects me with nature, connects me with the sky, connects me with the sun. We are cosmic consciousness. We are cosmic mind. We have to connect with the cosmos. So with those preparations, I write, I edit magazine, I write books, I give talks, I take part in protests, I educate at Schumacher College. I do all my social, ecological, environmental activities out of the strength of my meditation and my gardening and my walking and being in nature. Humility, trust, all the qualities we have talked about, they all come from my interconnectedness and interdependence with the natural world.
Lovely. And I although I probably don't spend as much time in nature as you, Satish, I very much value the fact that I cycle everywhere, and it's my chance to be outdoors and connect with the sky and the sun and the elements, as you say. I wondered if we could pause here again and just ask the community once more, folks, as you're listening to this, what is it you do to connect with nature? Maybe you jump on a bike like me, maybe you go for a walk like Satish, maybe you have a plant at home or a garden or a park nearby, or so I'd love to see your own responses, everybody. So let me see what's coming in here. Look at the sky, gardening, cycling, outdoor concerts, walking every morning, listening to birds, woodland, riverside, gardening, walking my dog, running ultra marathons, open water swimming, lots of gardening, yoga in the park, meditate in the garden, prayer, walking in the forest, swimming in the lake, bird watching. Again, so lovely to see this, such a lovely range. But I think we're very much in keeping with what you said, Satish.
Very good, very good. You've got a wonderful audience. They are in tune with the natural world and in tune with yourself. So for me, love and compassion is not separate compartments. Loving yourself, loving people, loving nature, and then being compassionate, and then being active. Because action without because we have been gifted from our ancestors, from the people like the women suffragette who fought for the vote for women. We received their gift so that women can vote today. And we received so many other great things from all our ancestors, the Buddha, the Lao Tzu, Jesus Christ, St. Francis, Hafiz, Rumi, all the religions, philosophies, culture, art, music. They were all giving gift to the world. So we need to give back something in the world. And so our happiness is in giving and receiving, and not just taking, but sharing. Receiving and giving is a reciprocal process. If we can do that, that's a natural well-being, and that's a planetary well-being, and that's a human well-being, that's a personal well-being.
Well said. And I think what you've just summarized so beautifully there also links very well to the title of another one of your books, Soil, Soul, Society. Do you want to just maybe remind us why those three S's are so important to you?
Yes. Because, all the great movements try to encapsulate their essence in three words. The French Revolution came up with égalité, liberté, fraternité. And then you have truth, goodness, and beauty, Greek philosophy. Then you have Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Although I always ask my Christian friends, Father is good, but what about the mother? And the Son is good, but what about the daughter? And the Holy Spirit is good, but about the holy matter? But anyway, I thought that for our time, for the age of ecology and age of well-being, we need a new trinity for our time. And that new trinity is soil, soul, and society. So soil I put at the top, because soil represents nature. We are made of soil. Our body is soil transformed. The food we eat, the bananas or the mangoes or the oranges or the apples or the vegetables and herbs and grain, all that is soil transformed. Our houses are built of soil. Our clothes are made of soil. The cotton is coming from the soil. And so soil is the first. If we can take care of soil, soil will take care of everything else. So we need to take care of soil. At the moment, soil is eroding, soil is being poisoned, soil is being chemicals, fertilizers, pesticide, herbicide, and also soil erosion. And so taking care of soil and taking care of nature is our prime responsibility. But we also have to take care of inner values. The outer and inner complement. Just outer soil and houses and nature and forests and mountains and rivers and oceans are fine. But we also have to be inner. We have talked about trust, compassion, kindness, generosity, all those wonderful values. They are the qualities of the soul. So soul qualities we have to cultivate, relationship and friendship, all those. So soul qualities need to be cultivated, and we need to look after our soul and care for the soul. So I put soul in the middle like a bridge between nature and humanity. And then I put society, humanity. We are human community. At the moment, we are divided in the name of race, divided in the name of sex, divided in the name of nationality, divided in the name of political philosophies, division, division, division. I want to bring people together. I want to say, before we are Americans or Russians or Chinese or Indians, we are human beings. Before we are Hindus, Muslims, Buddhists, Christians, we are human beings. Before we are black, white, brown, we are human beings. So our common humanity, that has to be recognized. And so instead of division, I celebrate diversity. And diversity is not division. And unity is not uniformity. At the moment, people are going for uniformity, same kind of genes everywhere, same kind of McDonald's everywhere, same kind of architecture. Whether you go to New York or Mumbai or New Delhi, same kind of high-rise buildings. There's no local distinction in our architecture. And our clothes, our food, McDonald's everywhere, Coca-Cola everywhere. So I want diversity. This uniformity is not unity. We need to celebrate unity of humanity and celebrate the diversity of natural world and human world. So that's how I see our work moving. So I have put that into soil, soul, society, that trinity. And that book has done quite well. We have sold about 10,000 copies, and I'm very happy that people are enjoying that book. I think we need a new trinity for our time, and that's a new trinity.
It's a wonderful trinity, Satish, and we'll send a link round to that, as well as your pilgrimage book and the elegant simplicity, in the follow-up email tomorrow. A few people have been asking, will the video be available? Yes, it will. We'll make sure that you get a chance to see this conversation again and share it with others. And also we'll conclude some links to other great things like the Resurgence Festival of Wellbeing that I know you're involved in organising, Satish. And the wonderful Network of Wellbeing was an organisation that you helped to co-found, and they have a fantastic event called Hope in Action coming up next week on the 29th, I believe. And so we'll include links to all of those fantastic ways that people can get involved and find out more. But I want to come, if I may, to some of these great questions we've had from the audience, Satish. So Jane has asked, yes, how can we get a balance between tolerance and challenging people who don't share our values?
Three things we have to do. How we do it? Three things. First of all, we have to be the example. Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change that you want to see in the world. When people see you as an example of simple living, ecological living, good life, trust and humility, all those things, if we embody them, then that will make a bigger impact than our words. So be the change that you want to see in the world, number one. Number two, learn the skills of communication. Communication is a two-way traffic. Every human being has a heart. There's a window in that heart. You have to find a way of opening people's heart. There's no point in banging on somebody whose heart is closed, whose mind is closed, doors are closed. You cannot enter. You have to find a little opening somewhere. So communicate that change, find a skillful means to communicate. So I try not to preach, but I try to open the hearts and friendship. Before I say to people, listen to my ideas, I say, come and have a cup of tea with me. Let's go for a walk together. And then when we are having a cup of tea, person is relaxed. And then I had been spoken to business people. I've spoken to universities, London School of Economics, many other places I go. I try to be humble and try to open their heart and find a little opening in their heart. So skillful communication, skillful use of language, that we all have to learn. Don't expect just that everybody will listen to you and agree with you because you have good ideas. You have to know how to communicate those good ideas in such a way that people will listen to you or people will read to you. So that's the second thing. And the third thing is we have to organize. All the great movements of change have organized themselves. Mahatma Gandhi organized anti-apartheid movement, and Nelson Mandela, they organized a worldwide movement, and the Martin Luther King's movement. So big things have happened. Berlin Wall came down because of Václav Havel and all the East European activists worked for it. Anti-apartheid movement was successful, and Nelson Mandela was released after 27 years in jail because of the great organization around the world. So we have to build our organization and a movement, because this industrial exploitative system we have today has been built over 200 years. So it's not going to disappear overnight. So we have to build movement and have patience in our heart. And we have to work, work, work. And if I don't see success in my lifetime, my next generation, Greta Thunberg generation, Amanda Gorman generation, Amanda Gorman, who read the poetry at the inauguration of Joe Biden. What a great poetry. Her generation will change. So have a trust that if not in my lifetime, next generation will see a new world and a new happiness and well-being of planet and people. So have that patience, have compassion, be the change, communicate the change, organize the change. These are the three things you can do.
And I love how it involves inviting somebody for a cup of tea and a chat, because I think that is such a nice down-to-earth way of saying you can't really change minds unless you connect at a heart level first. Chrissy's asked perhaps a more personal question. How do we break out, Satish? How do we break out of our routines of working and spending and move towards a more natural lifestyle?
We break out by being aware. Awareness is the key. Consciousness. We have to every morning when I meditate, I think about these things. How am I going to break out of this habit energy that I have built from the childhood? I have been brainwashed to buy, shop, and work for something so that we have more money and all that. So that conditioning of the mind and the brainwashing which has been going on through the media, through advertising, through my education, and all the kind of forces which has forced me to become a consumer and seek more material possessions. So I have to become aware of this situation. So close your eyes in the morning and say, how am I going to live today? How am I going to live this week? How am I going to live in such a way that I have enough? When I know enough is enough, I know I have enough. World had provided enough for me. But if I don't know when enough is enough, however much I have, 2 houses, 2 cars, 3 computers, many things, still I never have enough. Lots of people have plenty and still they think they don't have enough. So when you know I have enough, you already have enough. When you don't know when enough is enough, whatever you have, you will never have enough. So meditate on that, and your own inner heart will give you the answer. The answers are within you. Just you have to close your eyes and ask yourself, and you will get your answer from inside, in your inner soul, in your inner guru, your inner teacher will give you the answer.
Satish, I love the energy and passion you bring to all of your answers and your thoughts. It's such an inspiration, and it reminds me of something I saw in the chat earlier, which I can't remember the name of the person who asked it, but they said, I would love to know about Satish's diet because he has so much energy. I would like to have as much energy as Satish has. How do you maintain this natural warmth and energy, Satish?
My energy, source of my energy, I mean, my diet is vegetarian, and I have my own garden and I grow vegetables. So most of my vegetables come from my garden, my asparagus and my lettuce and my carrots and my cabbages and potatoes and everything. And I grow basil and I grow coriander and many wonderful things from the garden. So that's my diet. But my energy, I think, comes from worrying not. The worry dissipates energy. When you don't worry, you live in the present moment. You don't worry about what has gone on in the past, and you are not spending too much time in the future, but dreaming, planning, working out, and then things don't work out as you plan. So living in the present moment and not worrying about anything, because I'm not in charge of anything. I'm not in control of everything. I'm only a participant in the process of life. I'm only the participant, like at the moment we are discussing this thing. I'm only a participant in this conversation. and you are asking questions, audience asking questions, where I respond in this moment. I have no worry about later what happens. I have no expectation. I've dropped all expectations and I accept things as they come. So drop your expectation, drop your worries, accept life as it comes. Life is wonderful. Process of life is wonderful, and you will be energetic, and you will have a lot of passion, and you have a lot of good health and good energy. That's a source of my energy. No worry, and work in the garden.
Yes, I think we'd all love to sample some of your homegrown vegetables. They sound fantastic, Satish. But one of the things I love about this community with Action for Happiness is there are lots of people who care not just for their own well-being, but for the well-being of others. And Gail has asked, Satish, what would be your one tip or tool for us enabling others to benefit from natural well-being? How can we spread the word about the beauty of nature?
Yes. If you are living in the city, I would say that put a garden on your roof. That's the one thing lots of people can do. If you put all the roofs of the world together, London, New York, Washington, Beijing, Bombay, Tokyo, Mexico City, there are hundreds of thousands of acres of land on the roofs of all the city. If you are living in the city, put a garden on your roof and ask your neighbors to come and have a cup of tea in the roof garden. When you have a cup of tea on your roof garden, you can show, and you can put solar panels. You can have beehives. You can have many things on your roof garden, and then invite people to have a cup of tea. Invite your strangers. Invite from the neighbor, from your street. At Christmas time, you can have a street party. You can say, any strangers, Christmas time, let's celebrate. Any strangers can come. So making connection with people you don't know, either over a cup of tea or a Christmas party or some other excuse. You can find some excuse to invite your neighbors, invite some people who you would like to talk to. And then start with a cup of tea. Every cup of tea is a cup of peace. Every cup of tea is a cup of love and friendship. And when you talk to people over a cup of tea, they are already warm, because you are offering your generosity and hospitality. And so people will not be antagonistic. So that is the way to communicate. So wherever you are, city, countryside, wherever you are, invite people for a cup of tea.
I absolutely love that. That's so wise. Tea for global peace. I want to just, we're running out of time, Satish. We've probably got time for one more question. This is one that I think takes us to the next generation, which you've already touched on, but it's so important, building these principles into the children and the people involved in helping to teach and inspire the next generation. So Mador has said, I'm a teacher. How do we get schools to change their focus from teaching students to seek monetary rewards or academic success and focus instead on their happiness and health, both mental and physical?
Yes. If you are a teacher, and if you can get opportunity, once a week, take your children out of the classroom, out of the school, either in a park or a Heath, Hampstead Heath, if you are in London, or New York, Central Park, or find something in London. There are lots of squares with lots of greenery. Find some place where you can take children out of your classroom and out of your school. And rather than academic learning, just observe nature, sing songs, ask children to read poetry or recite poetry or learn a few lines of poetry, like Shakespeare's poem. I always teach my little children when I go around. I say, trunks in trees, books in running brooks, sermons in stones, good in everything. So that kind of poetry, or Hafiz, Rumi, William Blake, Mary Oliver, many wonderful poets, Alice Oswald, Caroline Duffy, the great poets we have. So ask children to recite nature poetry, Ted Hughes, Walt Whitman, many great poets. So nature poetry is the best way to connect outdoor and be outdoor once a week. And I'm sure your school head teacher, headmaster, if you talk to them nicely and say, can we go out for children to learn from nature, and not only learn about nature, but learn from nature. Nature is our teacher, and a human teacher is good. There was a great poet in India called Rabindranath Tagore. He used to hold his classes under the trees. If you can hold, especially in the summer, your class under the trees, that'll be great. So tell your school headmaster or headmistress, say, once a week, we'll take our children out in nature and learn about nature through nature poetry. And then maybe when they come back in the classroom, they can do some drawing of the trees or the birds or the insects, the bumblebee, or whatever they have seen, a butterfly, anything they have seen, they can do some drawing. So by that way, you connect with nature from your heart, from your imagination, from your creativity, and not have just academic exams and a kind of a school curriculum, but do something spontaneous, something improvised, something out of blue and not expected. Then I think you can inspire children, and children will love it. Children don't like to stuck in the classroom all the time, 5 days a week, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. So they want to go out. So they will enjoy, they will run, and let them climb trees. I let my 11-year-old granddaughter climb trees. I say, climb trees. If you fall down, don't worry. You will be saved by soil and by the earth. So we don't have fear that all children might fall down. Don't be too cautious. Be a bit courageous and allow children to climb the trees and go in the stream, get wet, doesn't matter. Be in nature. That is a great way to inspire children.
It is indeed. Satish, thank you so much for everything you shared with us this evening. And I want to say a huge thank you to this whole community as well. I've been inspired all the way through by the comments and feedback for all these lovely questions. And I'm sorry we haven't had time to get to more of them. If you've enjoyed this evening's event, we will send around a link to everyone tomorrow. So please do feel free to watch it again, to share it, and we'll send lots of resources. And if you've already made a donation to Action for Happiness as part of being here this evening, thank you so much. This really makes a difference. It helps us carry on putting on these events and bringing all this wisdom, not just to this online community, but more widely with our fantastic volunteers running activities all around the world. And if you'd like to make a donation, you can do so in a link in our follow-up email tomorrow. I wanted to do two more things before we stop. One is to say happy birthday to Clifford, who is someone who's been in the chat today and was feeling a bit down because it's his birthday tomorrow and doesn't have any cards to open for the first time in his life. So I want to wish you a happy birthday, Clifford, and say thanks for being here. And I also want to remind you all that Satish is an organization that Satish founded, the Network of Wellbeing, has a great event coming up next week on the 29th. It's called Hope in Action, with a subtitle, Connecting Self-Care to Collective Wellbeing. And I'm very happy to say that my lovely colleague, Alex Nunn from Action for Happiness, Alex will be there at the event next week. So lots of great stuff to follow up on, and particularly Satish's great books. So we'll make sure we send you links to all of those tomorrow. But Satish, would you like, is there a final thought you'd like to leave us with as we part this evening?
And final thought is that consider the happiness and well-being is your birthright. You have right to be happy, and nobody can take away from you your birthright of being happy and being well. And everything in nature and everything in people are leading us towards happiness and well-being. So take it, that is your birthright, and be happy and be joyful. And out of that happiness, do something for the world, for humanity, for nature, as a service, and out of that service, your action will be flourished and you will be very happy doing that. So it's a kind of reciprocal. Thank you.
Satish, thank you so much for being here, for all the inspiring things you have done throughout your life and are doing, and everything you've shared with us this evening. It's been an absolute joy to be with you, and we're so grateful.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
See you
Bye-bye.